Welcome. In front of me I have the ZTE Nubia RedMagic 10 Air, and today I'll be going over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and also its specifications. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. Now it's been ripped a little bit right here, but the box hasn't been opened yet, so we'll actually have to tear into this. There we go. And come on. And right at the front we have the device itself. Okay, that is actually noticeably lighter. And my goodness, I like this phone already. Sheesh, it looks so much better. So, I want to say I did use the Nubia RedMagic 10 Pro. And oh, sorry, not 10 Pro. The I think it was Z70 Ultra. So it looks the same. Although I'm not sure if it looks the same like this one. It has the same kind of display as the, for instance, 10 Pro has on the for the gaming side, and this is the 10 Air. So there is subtle differences already. Number one, this phone does feel kind of nicer in hand, has a bit of a different build quality right out of the box, and I do kind of like this way more. The size of the phone, well, the size I don't think actually changed, but the, oh no, it actually did. It is about 0.05 inches smaller display. Okay, so it is a little bit smaller by the looks of it. And one of the most noticeable differences, I guess downgrades here, or two of them, will be number one, the battery here is like 1000 milliamps smaller than the 10 Pro, and also it's not running the Snapdragon 8 Elite, it's running the 8 Gen 3, so previous generation processor. But anyway, let's just get into the box and see what else we have in here. And in typical fashion, we do have a case. So this is a plastic shell case, and we have a charger. Now this isn't like a crappy charger that gets provided to you. This is a whopping, I believe, what, 80 watts charger? Let's see. Yep, this is an 80 watt charger included in a box with the device. Now I also want to add, you can buy this phone on something like AliExpress for, I presume, about a little over $250, maybe like below 500, I would presume. I am gonna quickly check this. I haven't done this yet, so probably should have. So now the reason I'm saying AliExpress is because from like where I am, I can either buy it officially on their website, which would be shipped to me, or I can buy it on AliExpress at a massively lower price, which probably would be the go-to option. So let's see if the internet here is kind of crappy right now, so bear with me. There we go. So we're looking at a price of, if I can actually find this phone, or if AliExpress would actually show this phone. So that's 2,500 PLN, which equates to, what is it, about $600 US. That would include a tax. Now this phone has been released not too long ago, so this price actually will go down even lower if you want to have, you know, a bit better price for this. And at this price, I think honestly it might be more beneficial to go for the Pro, which I think it would be actually cheaper. Yeah, so you can get the 10 Pro at literally 100 PLN less, which is like $25 less, and that will be running a newer processor, so it will be just generally faster, and also have a much bigger battery. So just a little bit of a kind of idea right here if you want to see some kind of alternatives. But in any case, we also have the charging cable. That's a Type-C to Type-C cable. So in general, pretty good package right here. Now, just clear out the space right here so I can move over to the phone itself. Let's bring this into view. So one of the coolest things about these phones is the display. So this is basically unobstructed edge-to-edge display. There is no camera, I believe. I guess we'll see in a second. At least there isn't one in the Pro. Come on, quick. Yep, so we don't... Oof. So we do have a little bit of a bigger bezel on top and bottom than on the sides, which is jumping at me right off the bat. This is one of the things that I'll say. The 10 Pro looks better with the display, but it's just a visual kind of thing. Now these bezels are by no means thick. They are still minimal compared to most phones. This is a more traditional kind of phone that people have. Now, price-wise, it might not be obviously comparable. This is like a budget phone. But you can see the bezels at the bottom are much thicker. If I compare it to something like... If I just make sure that there's nothing visible on here that I wouldn't want to see or show. Okay, so here we have something like the Samsung S25, and you can see the bezels are these on the sides comparable, on top and bottom just a little bit bigger, but it's honestly not that like big of a difference. But I do want to give you kind of like a comparison between other devices. So let's go more into depth into the display. So this is a 6.8-inch display with a resolution of 1116 by 2480 pixels. So it is basically this equates to like a 1080p display with just a more wonky aspect ratio. 1 billion colors, 120 Hz refresh rate, and a peak brightness of 1600 nits. 88.7% screen to body ratio. So it is actually below that 90% like the 10 Pro has. The 10 Pro has a 91.4% screen to body ratio. So yeah, the bezels are bigger here, and this is something that, considering I used the equivalent of the 10 Pro, this is something that I noticed right out of the box. The top and bottom bezels are very noticeable if you have already held the other device. But the screen is also just smaller in general. Now, continuing on, we have a 400 pixels per inch density, and the display covering this screen is a Corning Gorilla Glass 5. So in general, the display right here is good. In terms of brightness, it is a little bit lacking compared to some other devices that pack like 4000 nits of brightness. Even the 10 Pro has a 2000 peak brightness, so it is even falling behind its predecessor, the phone that was released before this, and it's basically the same kind of idea. They're both gaming devices, just this one wants to be thin, because we're apparently approaching the again, the era of making phones thin for some reason, if you want to, like, I don't know, wedge it between the doors or something. Anyway, so continuing on into the internals, I already mentioned the processor in here being a downgrade to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, but the device also has 12 to 16 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage up to 512. Now these are just two versions, 256 with 12, 512 with 16 gigs of RAM. This is running UFS 4.0 storage type, and there's no expandable storage inside. And also comes with a 6000 mAh battery. So we have a pretty big battery size, even considering this phone is relatively light and compact. It's still packing a huge battery. Like I said though, if you compare it to the Pro version of this phone, it is still a downgrade, considering the Pro has a 7050 mAh battery. So again, even more. And also another thing that is a downgrade, you can see right here, we have a camera bump. So this is a camera bump right here. It's not very big, even if you compare it to something like the Samsung. Like you can see, Samsung has much more noticeable camera bump. So So this is very subtle camera bump right here, but it is here nonetheless. And again, the Pro version did not have this kind of bump at all. So those are a couple of the changes. Now, in terms of charging speed, we are getting 80 watts, which is, I believe, the same as the Pro. Sorry, never mind. Pro had 100 watts charging, but I don't think it had a 100-watt charger included. So out of the box, I think you should have basically the same kind of charging speeds. We have no headphone jack on here. So you can see no headphone jack, top, bottom, neither on the sides, which the Pro also had. We have the capacitive touch buttons on the side right here. Another thing that we don't have compared to the Pro is the active cooling fan that was kind of like just you know, had the blowing little areas right here and just vent the chamber to cool down the processor when you're pushing this device to its limits. So yeah, that's missing here as well, but at least we have the capacitive touch buttons if you like that. And just as a little sneak kind of thing, I do have the Razer Kishi V2 Pro in here. So I'm gonna slap it in just so we can see how that kind of fits in here. I am gonna remove this as I don't think that's going to be usable. So there we go, and it fits pretty damn well in here. Oh, it is working, just kind of sideways. So you can see it is working. Obviously I don't have no games on here, but in terms of fit, it fits perfectly in here. So for gaming purposes, this would be a fantastic little accessory, and it does have a Type-C and also headphone jack if you needed that. So it uses the Type-C to basically this passes through charging and also utilizes the Type-C for headphones, which is pretty cool. But obviously this device is designed to be standalone kind of gaming with these buttons, so in that aspect you don't need a little controller like that, which I just showed. Now, anything else that I want to mention right here? Oh right, probably cameras, which I haven't talked about whatsoever yet. So we have a dual camera setup with a flash, and both of those cameras are 50 megapixels. One is a f1.9 aperture wide sensor, and the other one is the f2.2 ultra wide. And if we compare it to the Pro version had the same cameras, but it also had a 2 megapixel macro sensor. That macro sensor is missing on here, but let's be honest, we're not missing anything here. That 2 megapixel was a sticker camera by all intents and purposes, so it wasn't something that you would be using. Now, in terms of video recording, you can also do 8K at 30 frames, which is the same as the Pro version of it, 4K up to 60, and 1080p up to 240 of slow motion. Then at the front, under this display, if I just turn it on and let's just accept, yes, cool, let's flip it, there we go. You can see we have a selfie camera. Now if I close this, you will be able to see this circle right here for a brief moment till it disappears. So that is our under display camera. Now I'm gonna bring this phone really close to the camera so we can take a look at this, but I just want to kind of bring this so I can show that literally nothing is visible there. So wait for the camera to focus. Now at specific angles you can kind of see, there we go, a little bit of a discoloration. So it's like right there. You can see like a circle. But if you ever, for instance, held something like a Samsung Fold, they're also having under display camera on the foldable display, and that is noticeable. In there you can see pixelations. Here you can see different color. This is more noticeable than on the Pro version. On the Pro version I wasn't able to spot it, or sorry, on the Z70 Ultra. Whenever I say referring to the Pro version, I will mean the Z70 Ultra, as it's basically the same phone, just designed for photos instead of gaming. But on that device I wasn't able to see any kind of sign that there's a camera, even when I was really trying to look. Here it has more of a warmer tint to it, which you might be able to see faintly on the video recording, but it again, I only see this when looking for it. When using Fold with its pixelation, I was seeing it when I wasn't looking for it, just because the pixelations was so noticeable. So yeah, pretty good phone, all in all. And it does have a couple of missing features from the Pro version, and considering this right now on AliExpress as an example costs more than the Pro, it's not a very viable pick, I would say, considering just the fact that it costs more for less. So obviously not a very good investment, but in this aspect I would highly recommend picking up the Pro version. You get basically the same thing, even better looking display, more battery and faster charging, active cooling and so on. So improved throughout basically almost everything apart from the cameras. You also have a faster processor, which is pretty nice, and costs you less. So no brainer. But when this device falls in price to like $500 including tax, which I presume will probably happen considering it is running a older processor in here, flagship, but still a year old at this point. And obviously there is a better version of this phone from the same company, the same kind of phone with the same model number, just instead of Air it's called Pro. Yeah, I expect this to fall in price probably relatively soon. It doesn't make sense that the Pro costs less when it's better. So yeah, it's inevitable that the price will fall. But all in all, I highly recommend picking up one of these devices. They are fantastic phones. They are stupid fast. They will get you through everything, and even the Android here isn't necessarily that bloated. We have some garbage like TikTok and some new ones like this, which I haven't seen before, or whatever this is. Maybe this is just a different region model. I haven't checked exactly what region this was released for, but the one that I purchased, the Z70 Ultra, came really kind of stock. Like there was almost no kind of bloatware installed on it. So yeah, pretty good phone in terms of the bloatware. That was non-existent. The phone was running fine, fast, no problems. You might sometimes see some kind of reviews online, like Reddit, which I personally did, that made me skeptical, with people saying that, that the phone is just bad when, like a ZTE phone, that the software is just garbage. This is running very stock software, so it's hard to F that up. And I personally haven't had problems with it whatsoever in terms of software. The only problem that I've had is when switching over data to my Samsung, Samsung being Samsung, made the switch process absolutely painful and took literally over 12 hours to move over less than 100 gigabytes, just because Samsung decided to make it as annoying as possible. And the two devices were connected through a mobile hotspot, so they were basically utilizing a 5 gigahertz connection, or they should have been. So there's no reason for this to be taking this long, outside of just Samsung purposefully trying to bottleneck this for no reason. And when switching, you need the application, and the app itself was was basically black screen with white text right here, which did get the pixels stuck. Now it didn't make a burn in, as this is technically an OLED display, or AMOLED, but same thing. So it got the pixels stuck when you closed it. At least on my case, I was still able to see the copying data kind of text right here, or transferring, I think it was saying. But after like a couple days of using the device and stuff, it went away. So it was just a kind of temporary thing. It didn't burn into the OLED, it just got the pixels stuck. But because of that, I recommend just trying to, I don't know, switch applications, maybe lower down the brightness, turn on light mode when trying to do the transfer, so you have white background, maybe black text, meaning that the pixels aren't lit where the black text is. So hopefully that would give you a better result, rather than the other way around, where just the white was blasting and everything else was turned off and just got the pixels stuck. So just a little heads up in any case. But with that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.